All right, this is Tony Dungy. We're live on the NBC Sports Facebook page talking Week 14 football, and what a week it's going to be. So excited. It started out for us in Kansas City. Big showdown for first place in the West, Kansas City and Denver. Kansas City was able to get the jump and put themselves in great position. We've got 6 or 7 big games this weekend. We'll start with the 1 o'clock games, the Steelers and the Bills. Okay, Steelers trying to stay in first place in the NFC North. The Bills needing to win to keep their wild card chances alive. I like Pittsburgh to go in there. They seem to be hot, ready to go. Had a big win against the Giants. I think they'll get the job done today. Obviously, that impacts tomorrow night's game. New England, who has a comfortable lead in the East, but they are hosting Baltimore, and Baltimore, I think, is going to need to win that game to stay abreast with Pittsburgh. Now, let's go to the South Division. The Tennessee Titans are hosting the Denver Broncos, and everybody's going to think, hey, Denver, defending champs, they're going to go in and take care of the Titans. I don't look at it that way. The Titans have a tremendous running game. That is the Broncos' weakness. I am predicting an upset, and I think the Titans will win, put the pressure on the Texans-Colts game, and that game is in Indianapolis. The winner, I think, is going to need to win. Both teams are going to need to win to stay abreast of Tennessee, and I like the Colts to win that one and have a share of first place. So some big games coming up in that AFC South. 4 o'clock games today. Seattle going to the Packers. Seattle playing without Earl Thomas. The Packers passing game heating up. It's going to be cold in Lambeau. Russell Wilson, I think, is going to need to put up points. I think Green Bay scores a ton of points. I like Seattle to win that game, but I think a pretty high-scoring game. Then we've got the NFC South on the line, Saints and the Bucks. That game was moved in Tampa to 4:25. Bucks playing their first big game in a long time, playing for a share of first place, and at the same time you'll have the Falcons playing the Rams. And I like the Bucks to win at home. I think they're hot, playing well, a lot of confidence in Jameis Winston. I like them to win. The Rams, I think, have a chance to upset the Falcons. The Rams have a great front seven. They can put pressure on Matt Ryan. I think the Falcons will go out and take care of business, but it'll be a lot closer than people think, and the Rams definitely have a good shot at an upset. But that NFC South is going to go right down to the wire. I think it'll go down to the last week. Looking forward to some big games. So I'm going to scroll back now, see if we can get on some of your questions and see what you're talking about. A lot of people obviously talking about our game tonight. Cowboys going to New York to face the Giants. And I tell you what, this is a huge game for a lot of reasons. Number one, yes, the Cowboys have a pretty good, solid cushion, and it's not like the Giants are going to come back and win the division. But the Cowboys have to feel that, hey, the Giants are a team we could see in the playoffs. We don't want to lose 2 games to them during the regular season, have them come into Cowboy Stadium in that playoff fashion and say, hey, they've beaten us twice, they've got confidence. I think they're going to want to have a great performance and make sure that they handle them. Big matchup, JPP not playing for the Giants, definitely a big factor. But we'll get to that one later on. Let me scroll to some of your questions, see if I can answer some of the questions that you have for us. Who do I like, Washington or the Eagles today? Washington still in that playoff hunt. I think Philadelphia, we're starting to see them for what they really are, a team that is improved, but they still have some improvement to do to become a contender. I think Washington wins that game today. What will the Giants do to shut down the Cowboys, and can they shut down the Cowboys? Really, to answer you, Christian, they can, but I think it becomes more difficult without Jason Pierre-Paul. He was such a big factor in that first game, not necessarily with the pass rush, but just his activity and quickness in the running game. They forced Ezekiel Elliott to go sideways a lot in that first game. Really did a good job on him. But there will be gang tackling. They will put the pressure on Prescott to win the game in the air. I think they'll crowd the line of scrimmage, and I think they will do a good job on Elliott in the running game. We'll see how Dak Prescott responds. Let me see if I can get to the next question here. John Cordell says, "Go Bucks," and I'll tell you what, I like the way the Bucks are responding down the stretch. I thought they would be a year away, but they have confidence. They feel like they can win it. I think New Orleans defense will have a tough time shutting down the Buccaneers' attack. I think it'll be a high-scoring win for the Bucks today. Let me see. We have a lot of people talking about their team. Thoughts on the Sunday night game? We talked about that a little bit. David asks, how about the Colts? Huge game for the Colts. They got a little momentum back last week. I think they will continue to flourish. Houston has a tremendous mental block when they go to Indianapolis. They have had a tough time winning up there. I think Andrew Luck controls the game offensively. I think they'll put points on the board and win a high-scoring game, put themselves in first place, and really give a shot to the Houston Texans' playoff chances. Eric asked, do the Eagles have a shot to sneak in the playoffs? And I really don't think so, Eric. They've got too many teams in front of them in the NFC East, and they're just not getting consistent quarterback play right now. I like where they are. I like what Doug Peterson has done, but I think they are a year away. Matthew wants to know about the Packers. Packers are playing much better offense. They throw the ball as well in bad weather as anybody in football. I think they will have a chance to attack the Seattle defense, but I still think they have some defensive flaws. Russell Wilson, I think, will be able to spread the Seattle attack out and really come after that Green Bay defense. And even though it's cold weather and bad weather, I think the Seahawks win a high-scoring game. Question. Corpus Christi, Texas. I appreciate hearing from you. A lot of Cowboy fans out there. Definitely a lot of Cowboy fans. James asked, will the Falcons win the NFC South? I don't know. 3 weeks ago, I would have said yes, handily, but I see them with some defensive flaws, and I think that Tampa's going to continue to win, and so they'll put the pressure on them. I don't think it's a lock that the Falcons win this South Division the way it may have seemed a month ago. What do I think the Giants will do tonight? I think the Giants are going to come out aggressively. I think they're going to throw the football. They will not be afraid of Dallas's pass rush. The key to me to the game is, can the front seven of the Giants control Zeke Elliott as they did in the first game? Can they make him run laterally, force the Cowboys to throw? If they do that, I think they have a chance to win. But they've got to control that running game, and it will be much tougher to do without Jason Pierre-Paul. Let me see. Questions here. Baltimore or Pittsburgh to take the North? That is a good question. 4 weeks ago, I would have said Baltimore all the way because I think superior defense. But Pittsburgh has played better, showed some signs against the Giants of being able to rush the passer without having to blitz. They tackled well. Their defense just looked a lot better last week than I've seen them. So I think it's a toss-up right now. Pittsburgh, I think, has the advantage in the schedule. So if I had to say right now, I would say Pittsburgh might be the favorite in that AFC North. Are my Lions for real? This is Derek. And Derek, I'll tell you, I hope they are. I think they are. I have had concerns about their defense all year, but statistically and points, their defense is doing well. I still think they have to rush the passer a little bit better. For a team that doesn't really get after the quarterback and doesn't run the ball well, it's hard to win, especially in December. But playing at home, if they can play in good conditions, Stafford has a chance to stay hot in the passing game. But they believe in themselves right now. They think they're going to win these tight games, and that is half the battle. So, I believe the Lions are for real. I said that if they beat Minnesota on Thanksgiving, they would win the division, and I think that is just what's going to happen. We talked about, do I think the Lions will beat the Bears? MJ, this is another Lions fan. Yes, I do. I think they lost to them in Chicago the first time around, but I think Detroit's playing much better football now. I see them winning the game. Harold says, Merry Christmas, and thanks for being the man that I am, and you love that I share my faith with the world, and I appreciate that, Harold. This is a great time of year, a lot of good football, but also a more important time as we think about what's really important in life and what Christ has shared with us and the gift that we're going to get at Christmas time. So I thank you for that. Appreciate it. Brian asks, Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals. And I hate to tell you, Brian, but you're probably one of the few people that's really excited about this game. The Battle of Ohio for sure. Cincinnati, disappointing year, and injuries have hurt them. Cleveland, just hasn't gotten good quarterback play this year because of all the injuries there. I think Cleveland is coming. They're improving. Cincinnati, one down year. I know everyone's talking about Marvin Lewis and his status. Marvin Lewis has coached this team to the playoffs year after year after year. You should be entitled to having one down year. I think Cincinnati wins the game today, but it's really one of those games that only a mother could love. Chris asks a question kind of off the track here. He says, what's the most difficult thing about coaching? And I think the biggest thing is getting your players to believe in what you want to do and the way you want to do it. Trying to get 53 guys on the same page. A lot of different kinds of philosophies can win, different ways to do it, but getting everybody in the organization, not only the players, but your staff, the front office, getting everybody on the same page, that's how you build a winning organization. You look at the teams that win consistently, Pittsburgh, New England, Baltimore in the AFC, Seattle now in the NFC. Everybody is on the same page and everybody believes in the way that they're doing it. So I would say that is really the most difficult thing. Here's one. David asked the Dolphins' chances of making the playoffs. And obviously they took a hit last week in Baltimore. But Miami still has an opportunity. They still mathematically are in it. They've got a game today that really they can win and should win against the Cardinals at home. Now, you got to take care of business. Next week we'll have them on Saturday night against the Jets. The Jets are going to likely be out of it by then. So even though that's an away game, a cold weather game, that's another game you can win. So you string these two together and you're right there. I still think the Dolphins have a very good opportunity to make the playoffs. Joe asks, how good is Seattle? Seattle is a different type of team now than they were in their two teams that went to the Super Bowl. They're a good defense. They're not a dominating defense. Offensively, they're not a power running team anymore. They're a throwing team. Russell Wilson and those receivers are very good. They can get leads on people, and that helps their defense. Their defense can get after the passer. They're still very formidable. They're hard to beat in Seattle, but they're not the same team that went to the Super Bowl those back-to-back years. Here's one. Alejandro asks, what is my opinion of this year's officials and how the games are being officiated? And I'll tell you, we have to get better consistency. I think our officials do a very good job. Percentage-wise, they hit the calls properly most of the time. But the problem is you have certain crews that are lenient, certain crews that call things tight. You have some crews that call holding tight, others that call it loose. You have some crews that call downfield activity, pass interference and push-offs and those kind of things tight. We've got to get everybody on the same page. That's where I think full-time officiating would help. Bring everybody in and get 16 crews that call the games the same way so you don't have that disparity from week to week. That's what drives the players crazy. That's what drives the fans crazy. But overall, I would give the officiating a high grade. I think it's just inconsistent. I'm going to take one last question, scroll down, and it's going to go to Nathan. And he says, can the Vikings realistically make the playoffs? And I don't think so. The way their offensive line is banged up, not having a running game, it's putting so much pressure on their defense. Now they've got Green Bay who's coming on, playing a little bit better. The Vikings would have to run the table. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this division is going to come down to Detroit winning it. And if Detroit doesn't win it, it'll be Detroit and Green Bay game, that last game of the year, that will decide the division. So Vikings fans, I think you're on the right track. but you're a year away. Hey, thanks to everybody for tuning in here. We've got a great game tonight. Watch us 7 p.m. Football Night in America. We'll cover all of these afternoon games, tell you exactly what happened, and we will go into the big Sunday night game, Dallas traveling to the Giants, and we'll tell you all about that one. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.